Hi, and welcome to the Diamond Report for Saturday, April 8th, 2017. This is your host, Doug Diamond. I've got us looking at Earthquake 3D. Right now we're focused in on a magnitude 5.9 quake that happened overnight U.S. time. Multiple agencies reporting 5.9. There's a 6.0 on the map as well. And as I turn the globe here, you'll see that there's a taller one off the map. That's the 5.7 that's highlighted there in blue. And that means it's down deeper. It's a deeper quake. And because it's a deep 5.7 quake, deep meaning anything above, say, 200 kilometers, because of that, we're going to need to watch in the coming days for a shallower, larger quake, potentially in this area. So we're just going to have to watch it. It could be anything from a 6.7 to 7.7. I know that's a pretty big range, but it is possible based on this deep 5.7. So really the 5.7 that's deep is more of a concern than this near 6.0 that happened at a shallower level. As I back this down, you can see we're looking at smaller quakes now, and you can see this swarm, this huge stack in the center of the screen going from 1s and 2s up to the magnitude 5.9 in the Philippines. So there's been a lot of movement in that area over the last few days. We're also still watching for further larger movement even based on these quakes over here near Fiji, 4.9, 4.9, several decent sized quakes that are deep, and again those translate into shallower, larger movement generally. So we're going to have to watch this area pretty closely. Also, there's a pretty big silent zone here between southern Indonesia and Sumatra. Even though there are some volcanoes in here, it's pretty silent. It's a big area to watch too. And normally we see earthquake activity down through this whole area, from northern India and Nepal down here through Malaysia and Sumatra and southern Indonesia. So that's pretty silent right now based on this particular feed that I'm looking at. So, and it's multiple feeds from multiple agencies around the globe. The other thing I mentioned in the earthquake report yesterday, the earthquake update, was that we would see further movement in the northern Peru area. And that has not happened yet, although we did get a small quake in Colombia that I mentioned. We hadn't seen any movement there, and now we've seen that smaller one, but still no larger movement in northern Peru / southern Ecuador, so we're watching for that as well. And now on to the headlines. From the LibertyBeacon.com, Michael Savage turns on Trump, says Syrian gas attack was false flag operation. I couldn't agree more. And as I mentioned yesterday, you know you're wrong when you see headlines like this: Islamist rebels praise missile strike. It is definitely a positive development. U.S. attack put the Assad regime on notice, a rebel spokesman says. So that kind of headline is definitely something that's a telltale sign for you're on the wrong side of the equation here. Stockholm slaughter. Terrorists plow stolen truck through crowds, killing 5. Attack mirrors jihadist massacres around Europe. Cognitive dissonance destroyed. Racist, sexist, xenophobic myth debunked. Social justice warrior talking points are already old. Syrian war escalating to Armageddon. It's exclusive InfoWars coverage. Also from InfoWars, have globalists taken over the Trump administration? It seems to me like the Trump administration has been stuffed to the gills with globalists from day one. The pros and cons of Trump's Syria strike, an in-depth look into what will result from the recent Syria missile strike. Google fights fake news with fact check in search results. Search engine judges truth of news content for readers. Isn't that nice? From Science Alert, exoplanet found to have atmosphere, a planet 39 light years from Earth. Shock, octopuses and squids can rewrite their RNA. Findings upend evolutionary theories. It's on Discover. And from Fox, Hillary Clinton rises from oblivion. Hillary losing her mind. A video from Paul Joseph Watson, The Truth About Trump's Airstrike on Syria. Stroke of genius or absolute lunacy? I think personally that it's somewhere in between. Exclusive, Why Trump Attacked Syrian Airbase Revealed. Machiavellian politics at play in Trump's Syria bombing. Steve Pieczenik says the cruise missile strikes were a statement to China. Red alert escalation, U.S. media calls for war with Russia. The false flag attack has happened, and it is maneuvering us to World War III, much to the globalists' delight. False flag attack started Syria and U.S. conflict, Alex Jones reports. From the Daily Mail, Syria claims it knew America was about to launch airstrikes hours before the attack on its airbase and moved its planes out of the way. Trump's options for North Korea include placing nukes in South Korea. It's from NBC News. On Breitbart, MSNBC's O'Donnell says maybe Putin masterminded the chemical attack so Trump could look good by striking Syria. Here's another headline. Is this proof Assad did launch chemical weapon attacks from the base that Trump bombed? That's on the Daily Mail. U.S. envoy to the UN threatens further military action in Syria. We are prepared to do more, but we hope it will not be necessary. From the Daily Mail, Kremlin tells the U.S. it's one step from war as Trump warns he will hit Syria again. Syrian chemical attack, the sequel. The more things change, the more they stay the same. A special report from John Bound. CNN rolls around in its own filth. CNN and its co-conspirators have backed themselves into a corner. Yeah, but that doesn't stop them. I saw this earlier today and yesterday. Hashtag Fire Kushner takes over Twitter. Outraged Trump supporters blame President's son-in-law and top advisor for decision to strike Syria. From the Express, Donald Trump carried out Syria missile strike after being convinced by daughter Ivanka. Trump is believed to have made his dramatic U-turn after being convinced by his daughter. From the Telegraph, Stockholm attack driver deliberately targeted young children as he drove hijacked lorry or truck into the crowd. A witness says it didn't look out of control, it was trying to hit people. You think? I'm not too sure I buy this one. From the Medical Express, gray hair linked with increased heart disease risk in men. Marines punished for social media comments. 15 other service members investigated. This is on Stars and Stripes. Marks the first time active duty Marines have faced discipline for inappropriate actions on social media. On Sputnik News, U.S. fails to prove existence of chemical weapons at Syrian airfield. Coca-Cola's products, Sprite and Fanta, may be poisonous, rules a Nigerian court. It's on The Independent. On the LA Times, Texas landowners fear orders to make room for the wall. 4 children among 9 civilians dead in U.S. Syria strike. The secrets behind Trump's Syria strike. Alex Jones analyzes the multiple angles behind the strikes. Russia warns of all-out war as mainstream media attacks official story doubters. The mainstream media exposes their own hidden agenda supporting the conflict. A letter to Congress, Trump pledges to take additional action in Syria. I acted in the vital national security and foreign policy interests of the United States. I find that very difficult to believe. Debate, Syria strike genius or lunacy? Yesterday was huge. Russia and China do not appear to want war. It appears the U.S. does. In all probability, war will be used to cover up bankruptcy, as closed markets and banks can be blamed on war. Then we have yesterday's Diamond Report. Thank you, Steve. Make sure you see the video from yesterday, if you didn't already, about the Amish farmer who may get 68 years in federal prison for selling a topical herbal salve. It's a crazy story. The FDA is just completely out of control. From the Daily Mail, Kremlin tells the U.S. it's one step from war as Trump warns he will hit Syria again. After his attack on Russia's ally, Assad triggers fears of World War III. Ivanka Trump holds secret meetings with liberal special interest groups. No good can come from this. Man, that's That's so true. That's on conservativereview.com. The purpose for doing this is to pitch the liberal lies and talking points directly to the president to move the administration further leftward. Welcome to multipolarity. World War III is knocking. Syria, USA, Russia, and China, a world in distress. That's on ChristianTruther.com. Apocalyptical hailstorm hits China's Guizhou. A ferocious hailstorm and heavy rain battered the city of Guiyang, causing scenes of chaos across the city on Wednesday night. Japanese scientists want to be the first to drill into the Earth's mantle. Steve says they may get Godzilla's cousins or worse. A doctor associated with the recent alleged chemical attack in Syria was tried in the UK as a jihadist. The jihadist doctor was tried for kidnapping journalists as part of a jihadist group. That's on the Gateway Pundit. And Neocons win. Mainstream media criticism of Trump comes to a screeching halt with the missile attack on Syria. That's on Activist Post. Yes, so sickening. Satellite images show the destruction of Assad's airbase as U.S. says 58 of 59 Tomahawk missiles hit their target. But Russia insists more than half of them missed. Steve says 2 questions. Were the missile failures based on jamming or intentional design sabotage? The Lost Secrets of Easter, Resurrection Sunday, beautiful presentation of the greatest event in history, the resurrection of Jesus Christ and the salvation of mankind. Ain't no power in hell that can keep him down. That's a YouTube video. How 23andMe won back the right to foretell your diseases. FDA-approved genetic testing company 23andMe to sell customers foreshadowing about their susceptibility to these and 7 other heritable genetic traits. That's on Wired.com. A YouTube video, scientists have opened Pandora's box with genetic engineering. Welcome to the days of Noah 2.0. Iceland on high alert with volcano due to erupt. Katla ready to erupt, great video overview. That's on CBS News. IMF decashing, soft selling financial enslavement. Strip out, for example, the $100 bill from the U.S. economy. This would eliminate more than half the cash value in circulation with one stroke of the draconian pen. That's on Activist Post. From the AmericanMirror.com, mayor of newest sanctuary city calls police occupying force. The Lansing City Council voted unanimously Monday night to defy the Trump administration's immigration policies, despite clear warnings about lost federal funding for sanctuary cities. From All News Pipeline, these stories show why we should continue prepping for the end of life as we know it, as if there were no tomorrow to do so. Remember, socialist governments inevitably lead to massive body counts. There are far more vaccine-damaged children in America than chemical weapons-damaged children in Syria. Vaccine industry defends the use of chemical weapons on U.S. children. So true. That's a Natural News article. Troubling new data shows most scientists can't replicate peer-reviewed studies. Then Steve says, make it up as you go, make outlandish claims, and get written up in scientific sewage journals, and all is well in academia. That's on Health Nut News. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. Science is now a new religion. It's more of a religion than it actually is science anymore. Professor, Trump must hang. Republicans should be executed for each immigrant deported. Then Steve says, liberal and hypocritical professor who majors in intolerance. That's on the Daily Caller. From Live Science, flashback, eat the old. Could mass cannibalism solve the future food shortage? Then Steve says, in overweight America, there will be plenty of rump roasts. Do you see how you're being conditioned to accept Soylent U? Note the date. We are now watching the final chess pieces of thermonuclear war being moved into place. Who will launch the first missile is the only question to be answered. On the course to full-fledged, all-out world war over a false flag? That's on All News Pipeline. Neocons co-opt Trump. Shadow government gains chokehold. That's on truthandlibertyblog.wordpress.com. Yes. It seems that that must have been part of the agreement for Trump to assume the presidency, that the shadow government is going to control everything, and it looks to be that that is the case. From Dave Hodges of The Common Sense Show, can Trump come back from the brink of becoming a neocon? What does the deep state have on Trump? What was the Trump card? Was Trump blackmailed? A prepper expert says U.S. church not ready for what's coming. Weak, soft, and ignoring biblical prophecy at its own peril. We're just weak. We're not even thinking we could face struggles, and that puts us in a dangerous spot. That's on WND.com. Yeah, I totally agree. The fallacy in the thought of being a pre-tribber, that you don't need to prepare because Jesus is going to come and zap you out of here before any of the bad stuff happens. That whole idea is totally erroneous, in my opinion, and it's part of the reason that Christians today are so inept. They're so weak and they're so passive, and they just let things happen because they really think they're going to get a free pass and not have to deal with any consequences. From Sputnik News, death toll now at 5 from last month's London attack as a woman who fell into the river dies. Feds and far-left wildlife groups are using bogus endangered species claims to block the border wall. That's on the Gateway Pundit. And the abortion industry says Gorsuch confirmation is a, quote, dark day for women. We'll see about that. That's on Breitbart.com. From Zero Hedge, terrorism is really not that big a deal. Harvard students see Trump worse than ISIS. Now North Korea wades into mounting tension over Trump's strike on Syria, calling it an unforgivable act of aggression. Pretty ironic, huh? Burying the hatchet? Bannon and Kushner hold sit-down amid reports of power struggle. Socialist paradise verges on collapse. Venezuela dictator holds on to power amid protests. That's on the Express. ISIS final act of terror. Jihadi plot to blow up enormous dam, causing devastation revealed. Europe's out-of-control censorship. That's on Zero Hedge. It's a disaster. Europeans lament border checks amid terror threat. That's on the Express. And then to go along with our earthquake update earlier, tsunami fears as Philippines struck by 3 earthquakes in just 20 minutes. Yeah, the 5.9 magnitude earthquake isn't really large enough to cause any sort of massive wave. It's just not. It needs to be in the 7s and 8s and 9s really to cause lots of devastation. Really the 8s and 9s. Freedom Watch calls on Obama to come back to the U.S. mainland and get served for stoking violence against Trump. That's on the Gateway Pundit. It's no coincidence. Pentagon attacks Syria after Bannon's removal from the National Security Council. That's on Sputnik News. Pentagon's airstrike in Syria resembles Washington's pretext to Vietnam War, which, as we know, was a false flag. Proved. Documented. Dan Rather slams the media for calling Trump, quote, presidential. And from SHTFplan.com, this off-grid survival tiny home could be yours for less than $4,500. The U.S. entered World War I on April 6, 1917. Did Trump just start World War III on April 6, 2017? That's from Michael Snyder of the Economic Collapse blog. From Natural News, smallpox, polio, and DTaP vaccines contain infected monkey kidney cells, and rotavirus vaccines contain DNA from dangerous pig viruses. Isn't that lovely? Wouldn't you like to be injected with that lovely cocktail? On Zero Hedge, they're terrified peace was going to break out. Ron Paul slams the neocons' warmongery. An X22 report, economic data just went from bad to worse. The collapse accelerates. Police arrest 3 more suspects over the Stockholm truck attack as special forces raid a property 20 kilometers from the atrocity which killed 4. Confused about Syria? You should be. That's on Zero Hedge. And will Kim Jong-un go into hiding over Syria bombing? Expert says airstrikes tell North Korean leader to heed American military power. WikiLeaks bombshell. Guccifer 2.0 admits Seth Rich was a DNC leaker. It's on the Gateway Pundit. Space warfare. U.S. has already taken out satellite with a missile. That's on Sputnik News. Escapee reveals North Korea horrors. I didn't flee to be free. I was starving to death. Hacker group releases password to NSA's top secret arsenal in protest of Trump betrayal. That's on Zero Hedge. From Dave Hodges of The Common Sense Show, the advantages of being a neocon. New York Times, Mexico owns California and Texas. Will trade for amnesty. That's on Breitbart. And also from Dave Hodges of The Common Sense Show, why are Chinese troops in Mexico? All right, that's all for today's Diamond Report. Thanks so much for listening and watching. If you would, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more updates. And I will see you tomorrow.